This one, and then I'll give you guys a break for a few minutes after this one. So let's draw this time. Ideally, you want to use a ruler here. I'm not going to use a ruler, but you might want to. In fact, I might turn my page this way. And I'm going to do a full Cartesian plane. I know. I'm going to go all the way down here. And roughly find the middle. Okay, so making a full Cartesian plane, and I want to talk about the quadrants. But before I do, let's just get our origin, which is our 0 in the middle. And let's do subtle, small units. I'm doing it up to 8. Going up. And then, of course, I go negatives going downwards here because I'm now kind of going in the negative zone underground. Okay. So as you guys are drawing this, I'm just going to explain the y-axis, and this is going to be helpful for when you guys are doing reflections and rotations a bit later on in another unit or another strand. The y-axis is, the way I look at it is though it is like a tower, it's a building. So your 1s and your 2s and your 3s, your positive numbers are like the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, and so forth. And I look at 0 as if you're on ground level, or like technically it'd be sea level, right? So, and then when you're -1 and -2 and so forth, it's like you're in the basement. So imagine it like an elevator, you're going underground. So 0 would be ground floor. And that's going to help you when you guys are doing some of your other transformations a bit later on. And then, of course, we learned from integers that this side of the x-axis is positive. So these are positive numbers going in a positive direction. And then, of course, going in this side is negative in a negative direction. So these are our negative numbers. And that's going back to like actually September or October last year. So just really quickly, can I make sure that you guys are aware of this? If I look up here, this is considered quadrant 1, which means everything in the x and y axis are positives. So everything you'll notice from that last lesson that we just did, which was this one here, that these were all positive. Did you notice? Yes, our translation might have been negative, but our coordinates were all positive coordinates. So anything in here, if I put a dot here, it's going to be positive x and positive y. If I put a dot here, it's positive x and positive y. Make sense, guys? If I go to quadrant number 2, we are still above ground. We are still, if we are on an elevator, we are going upwards. We're in the positive, going up the tower, right? So y would be positive. Do you agree? Because we're above ground. Yeah.
How come it went like 1 to the right and then 2 to the left?
Because we're considering this as quadrant 1 because this is where everything is in the positive zone. So that's why we consider it the first quadrant. It's the most common quadrant that we use when we're graphing. And then we go to quadrant 2 where things still grow. You still see growth, because things are going upwards. So anything in here, the y's are always positive. But our x's are in the negative zone. So we're kind of beyond the y-axis, the x-axis, and we're going into the negatives. And then quadrant 3 down here, this is a unique one because everything is negative. Your x's are negative, and then you're also underground. Your y's are also negative. And this is important for when you guys are doing rotations in like next week. And then the fourth quadrant, the x's are positive and the y's are negative because you're underground. So you don't really need to remember this. You just need to understand it. So this is something that you don't memorize. These are things that you just know, right? Because you got to look at it logically. And here's a way I showed some of the people in this class the other day. So I'll just do a quick version of it. If I was to draw a mountain landscape like that, and I even put like, I don't know, the moon right here. Imagine that this is the lake. This is like sea level. This is at ground zero. This is where y is at 0. And then to reflect it, I know we're doing reflections here, and this is not translations. I would do 1, 2, 3. It would look, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It would look roughly like this. So why did I show you this? Well, because I wanted you to see that this is in the positive zone with regards to y. And then underneath the reflection, underneath would be in the negative. It's below sea level. That's just a little simple example. I lost my shoe. Okay, anyway, let's draw this shape. We're going to draw this simple shape. And it is, and I'll share with you the coordinates if you need to know the coordinates. Our coordinates are, don't forget, x is always first and then y is always second. We're going to do A is going to be -3 and 3. So this is A. And then B is going to be -5 and 3. And then C, which is up here, is going to be -5 and 6. And I know that because the x-axis, or the x coordinates, we do first. We always do the x ones first. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3 gave me -5, 3. For A, it would have been 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, 2, 3. So I would have got -3 would have been on the x-axis, but 3 would have been positive on the y-axis. Okay. So visibly, you can see that in quadrant 2, everything in the x-axis is negative, but everything on the y-axis is positive. Does that make sense? And then it matches what we were talking about up here. I should have done x first. Here we go. Okay. So let's translate this. We're going to do a translation. I want you to translate this shape. 9, -2. So try that one out. Another way of writing that would be x plus 9, y minus 2. So translate that. So I want you to try that out right now. And give me your new coordinates. So imagine this was your check-in. So pretend this is your check-in. What would be your new coordinates afterwards? Can you see that? I can go a lot closer like that. So 9 is the x-axis, so you're moving positive 9 along the x-axis. So I'm going to grab A and go 9 along the x-axis, and then I'm going to go down 2 along the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that gives me 9 there. And then I'm going to go 2 down, 1, 2. So I've already found my point A, my new point, so it's called A1. Yes, Lujine?
What's in the second bracket?
This here?
The second one.
These here?
Yeah.
Those were just to show you another way of writing the translation. That just says, it just says x plus 9, y minus 2. It's just another way of writing the translation. Okay? It's just in case, you know, you see it on in a textbook or on a test. Yes, Miriam.
After you
Well, it actually becomes A1 because the original was A. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
You do first.
and then 1, 2.
X.
Always do X first. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2. So I got B1 and C1. So if this was an assessment, I would then be asking you to tell me your new coordinates. So you would have to do A1, B1, and C1, and you would punch in your new coordinates. Yes, Marco.
What do you mean by always do X first?
So always think X first no matter what. I mean, I know you could technically go down 2 and then go over this way, but for you to be consistent, to always think X first. But you're right. You're right by questioning that.
Mine would be X to the right first.
Yeah, so because it's X here, I'm going to go 9 over first and then go down. You know what I mean? So are you guys punching in your new coordinates? Already did?
Yep.
Okay. I'll leave that up for a second. I think you guys are ready for your check-in. Just like this.
This is being recorded, right?
It is. I might have to edit some of this.
There's no sound.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, there is. Okay. Stop.